Hello there. All right. So I am going to start a recording and talk about the record Sunday Morning with Pinky Skylark. This is on my album Art of Tones, and the remix package is out in December on the 12th? Oh Lord, I should have had everything all set up here. This is why I'm not a pro on YouTube. Let's see. December 8th. Cool. I'm glad, making an album is an interesting thing, I think, for an independent artist, and lucky that Play Records, we staggered everything up into singles. It's an 8-track album. We basically just turned everything, like I said, into singles. And then we released like a bunch of the instrumentals and stuff, which equaled up to, 12 songs on Beatport, if not more. And now we're on the remix part of the album. I think this has been ongoing for almost the second year now, which is good. They say when you're doing an album, you should be promoting it for 3 years. So, I had composed this track October 2021. So I guess we'll start with the main master audio part here. This, I guess I'll give you a peek of the song, obviously. Guess we could just start from here. All right, I would think you guys get the idea. So, basically with the master audio that's printed, I basically cut everything off at 200 hertz within the stereo field, so everything on the low end is basically having its own thing in mono, and it's not interfering the stereo field, and nothing should be in here with the stereo field. Really, you want to have more width in stereo field around these areas, from 200 hertz and over into this area as we get to kilohertz. Safari plugin, just giving a 3D width as usual. Just on the preset, warmth and edge. If you can listen, you can really hear like the sides really calming down and not being as 3D versus when it's in there. Right, and then we have bass room, which basically corrects the whole mix with all the bass, and mix room, which corrects all the mix with the high end and kind of cleans up all the junk that I've done in the mix beforehand. I'm not really in the most proper room. Yes, it's treated, and certain frequencies are good that I can hear properly, but definitely in the low end, this room is not workable for low end. So this plugin is a big help and really kills time for me going to the car back and forth. I probably go to the car to check a mix almost 3 times or less. Sometimes it's good right on the first time. Here's the difference. Maybe we should go into a part that's more busy. And who knows, the low, sometimes some tracks the low end is great and it's fine in the car. I find overall, I know this is just my opinion. If your car, if your track works overall in your car, your mix should work well on all systems. I find the hardest system to make anything sound good is the car. That's just from what I feel. Some may think different, but I always have had a problem, and I know many producers have problems trying to make their track sound good in a car. What do you got here? Hey, you jam on that MIDI controller, young man. I said jam, go ahead. I'm not stopping you. All right, then. Just woke up from a nap. Okay, so let's just start with like the main sound, which is the kick drum. So really, you can even look in the transients that there's not a lot of tail end with the kicks that I use. It's a 909 sounding kick, which I've made in I think a thing called like Sonic Academy. It used to be the Nicky Romero kick plugin, but now it's called Kick now. Nicky Romero's name was plastered all over it. Basically, the EQ I got going on is just 100 hertz. Nothing's really pumping up here because I like the bass to kind of have its own thing going on here. And I always find even with a car, it tends when just trial and error from what works for me is fine. I'm not saying you have to do it this way. But yeah, and then just pulling down 145 hertz, which gives it the smiley face and whatnot. Or help giving a smiley face, the upside down smiley face, or whatever they talk about. 1 kilohertz here, just to make the kick drum more prominent in like a cell phone, along with kind of just some harmonic saturation with the tape machine, and another one again, parallel aggressor. And this is I think this is great because this kind of helps on hearing stuff in the thing like a cell phone, because that's where a lot of low end stuff gets drowned out in your cell phone. You're not really hearing things in that 60 hertz region or whatever. I mean, you can even look like there's still stuff. What do we look? There's still stuff that's in there, right? But it's obviously shaved off from there. I wouldn't do this now. It's just not as natural. I usually cut with like a 12 dB curb, but I'm just gonna keep it as is because that's how it is. With the clap, I have EQ'd. The mud out that doesn't need to be there. Curve with 12 dB. Just a little hump at the end of 200 hertz, so it basically has its area that lives there nicely within the mix, pumping up some more kind of low mids area or so, I would say. Low mids, yeah. I don't remember all this stuff. I just one of those people that do. Yeah, it's something like low mids. I just do. Then we have over here just a compressor, LA2A. And then just adding stuff here and there. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, you can go down. Yeah, just the LA2A here. That. See? The trims here probably added for no reason. Yeah. And then over here we have Desmond. Oh, all right. Over here, it's just the second clap that's is going on here. And we're kind of just doing the same as it is with the clap here. It's a little off time, so just adds a little more swing with the third that comes in on every second beat or second clap or whatever. So you can see right even in there. I've tuned this clap down to like 5 semitones, and the reason why I did that because I wanted it to have a little more of just a little more impact on the clap, and it's tuned down to like a 5th. Not that any of these claps are probably tuned to the kick drum or anything, but I just picked it. I just wanted that clap to have more impact, which it kind of does help, really. You can even listen, but you want to watch for this clap. So that's with it. Yeah, so you can kind of tell there's a little more of a nail there. And then we go again. So it's just a bit of it is turned down probably the least. And then it's just panned out a bit, even though it is in mono. Then the hats, nothing really fancy, just kind of pulling stuff down. And then we have the just drum loops, kind of just filtering stuff off. And it's just filling the mix and giving the mix more swing, right? That's the snare. Here's the 3rd drum loop. Yeah, so it's just giving more swing within the song. And then we have the snare drum, which is pan mono in channel 1 and 2 of the SSL. I was kind of just going for it's a kind of a rocky sounding snare because it is quite prominent. You listen to a lot of rock music. If you listen to a lot of rock music, the snares, especially like in the 80s, just that big flooded sound within a mix. I mean, I didn't put any reverb within it. I left it quite dry, just for reasons. But the sound I was going for the snare was kind of just that 80-ish kind of snare hit, but just putting my own signature on it per se. Then we have the distressor that it's basically the blood and guts to it. I don't want to game change things, but everything is hitting minus 18 or so before it hits the SSL summing mix. And then we have the cowbell here. Right, just kind of blocking things out and then giving things in the low mids a little more like oomph. And then we have the distressor again. And then we have the ride, which we are using the pumper on just to give the mix more life, because it would be quite boring without the pumper here. And it also kind of clouds the mix a little. And I think really this is probably like the reason why I didn't really do much more cutting, because it was doing the pumping a lot. But it also it was just giving the mix more life. Cymbal, didn't really do anything to it. Don't know why, but it doesn't seem like there's anything done to it. Just gain staging. Some things just don't need to be touched too. And here we are with the bass. This is a bass that was probably made in Serum. There's a lot more done to it, and I probably just did mostly saturation to it. And I used like a ozone thing, an ozone plugin that basically was taking certain frequencies out that were in the stereo field in case it's there, even though it's probably not needed to do, even though we're panning in mono, but it does help. And I think I've showed examples in other videos that even having things panned in mono, it still kind of leaks in that side stereo field, which probably don't want in the mix. Then we have the keys here. This is another Serum plug, probably a preset which was manipulated. I'm not the greatest at designing synths. I just kind of find presets and then play with them as I do with kind of mixing with plugins somewhat. Yeah, and then we EQ moves. Oh, that's the wrong thing. That doesn't make sense. So nothing really done here. I do think that I probably did do work to it and printed the EQ within it somewhere else. I just have this here because in case I want to sidechain frequencies that weren't working. But I'm pretty sure I'd done some EQ work beforehand. Don't remember, but yeah. And then printed it because Pro Tools, the sample rates of things start screwing up when you're printing more and more stuff, as every other program does too, probably. Every program's got its negatives and positives, right? And then we have the Vintage Aural Exciter, which basically sounds like there's a blanket over it without it. And that synth is pretty much the life of the instruments within the song. The Vintage Aural Exciter really brings that synth out. It just gives it that nice bright sound. Then we have the one knob, which is just kind of just plucking stuff off, like in parts like this. Just giving cool movement. Yeah, and then there's some effects kind of complementing here at that part. And then we have, I think, is it strings or arpeggiator? Yeah, strings. Just that typical kind of house movie of strings. Yeah. Because it's kind of, I guess, a disco-y, housey style track. Just, I don't know. It's different. Yeah. And we move on to more of like the melody stuff. And not much was just done with this. Let's see. So I was using this plugin for gain staging to see how much it was, decibel levels it was hitting before it went into the SSL. Like I said, I probably did some EQ work to it beforehand because it doesn't really seem like there's much going on here. And then we have the LA3A, the LA3A basically picking up transients that are coming out too hard, right? So it's basically balancing parts, and you can even just see in the wave how like certain parts are just way bigger than others, and it's very just squarey looking and stuff, right? So this is just kind of per se filling things out a little more and perceiving to the ear like it's a full thing. And then we have just here, which is just reverse effects. Nothing done to it. I think that's the bass. Yeah, before it just kind of hits in. Oh, there's a pop there. Well, it's not too prominent there, but no, there's a mistake there. Too bad it's out in the world now. And then we just have the effects risers. Nothing fancy. Now we get into like the bread and butter, the importance, and it's the vocals. These vocals were done in Toronto at Orange Studios. Well, I was sitting on a Skype call listening, and that's pretty much how the whole album was done, just because the whole album was done with vocals, except for the last song, which is myself on the talk box, called Time of Day. But everything was produced there, and then there was a couple of songs that I had done in the studio here with some vocalists that were just kind of down over there in that area of the studio, per se, the lounge area of the studio that I have a PS5 that the kids always play. So I guess we could start with just these vocals here itself. Let's do a little enabling too, so that when we're listening, so there is also. Oh no. Oh no. Let's just do some enabling here, blah, blah, blah. So I have everything, basically all the vocals routing to this aux here. This is just like a vocal push, so there's no effects. It's just the vocal itself hitting here and basically being pushed up through the compressor, which is basically a preset with the manually that's just pushing the vocal up a little more. The IM pusher, another preset. That is just giving more sparkle, and then me manipulating it as I did with this. I basically use the presets to get a start, and then I start mangling with stuff in order to make it work. And usually, I'm probably just Sunday morning coffee not tickling it, but most of the time with auxes, it's okay to be aggressive. Because you're kind of just backing away and it's just balancing, And then we have a pure plate. Sunday morning coffee brewing, just cutting off basically everything at 180 hertz. Nothing there. Looks like I was cutting out treble within the reverb, and then no fancy EQ work done. With usually now I use fab filter and take out a lot of garbage that shouldn't be there, but the compressor is basically reacting every time the vocal comes, which will push the reverb a little back and give the voice some room. Sunday morning coffee brewing, open up you can even the vocal gets a little lost within. You can even hear in the mix. It's basically just pushing the verb up, but just complementing everything to make everything a little more balanced. Then we have a delay. 1 second. No, sorry. Excuse my yawning. Yeah. And we basically have the compressor doing the same thing, being triggered with the vocal. All right, little cut because I got to deal with my kids. So we're on the vocal here, and basically here we have what we've done with Fab Filter is just taking out some mud within it. The vocal is recorded on a Neumann 87, if I remember, and I'm pretty sure they used an LA2A going in and a Neve preamp. So then I basically, within here, I use the Neve plugin and just basically boosting everything up at 4 kilohertz or so. 4.8 is if I can see. I can't really, the writing's so small. And then just kind of just boosting it up a little. Most of the heavy lifting's done here in this part of the EQ, which is like a shelf that is just kind of just going up. It looks like 3 dB or so. And yeah, it's just basically shelving. I'm not sure what area of where it's boosting, but it's just all by ear. I'm sure some of you nerds will know where it is. Yeah. And then LA2A, just kind of just tickling because they already did use it within going in, and then just the 1176. 1176 is tickling and picking up the other end and just kind of keeping everything kind of squashed and equal within the vocal. The de-esser is used a bit, not as much as it is on the hook. I'd say there's a lot of it because the hooks are all just S. It's right here. So his favorite tunes on, reading, socks on, sitting in the sunshine, the day is all mine. So this is a dynamic mic. You can imagine on like a Neumann 87, which is a condenser, the frequencies would be coming in a lot harder, so it'd be very piercing in this syllable. So there's a lot of de-essing going on. I almost think that I did like 2 de-esses. You're gonna see it attenuating a lot, right? And it's just because the frequencies were very, very harsh. Yeah, let's see. You can even like
reading socks on, sitting in the sunshine. The day is all mine. Favorite tunes on, reading socks on, sitting in the sunshine. The day is all mine.
Yeah, so I mean, you can even tell. I think I probably did another de-esser on it before, and like I said, Pro Tools is probably printing stuff. I think it was probably a lot harsher than that, but you're playing something loud like that in a nightclub, it's gonna be pretty harsh. The S's in general on that. As far as I'm concerned, that's pretty much everything I've shown about this track. I'll drop a link in the description for pre-saving the remix package. I'd love to see your support on it. Give me a follow on Spotify and all that other stuff, and buy a copy on Beatport. There's a lot of cool remixes within that package, and yeah, have a nice time. See you later. Bye bye.